Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have a guy here, one of my defenders. He's a sweeper, and maybe his name would kind of indicate he's a sweeper. Okay, so without further ado, I'll ask him to introduce himself and give me a part of his background um, in the sport and from where he came.
Well, first of all, thanks, Mitch, for having me on board. My name is McIver Broomes, born in St. Albans, England. Moved here when I was about 7 years old. Started playing football here when I was about 10 with Willowdale United. Then moved on to North York Cosmos. I played there for a couple of years. And then I played a year with the Maple Leafs, Scarborough Maple Leafs, and then I went another year with the North York Cosmos, the older team. From there, I went to play in the ISL with Carol A, and then went on to meet John Williams, Derek Tomasis, when they were all playing with Scarborough, Missouri. So they had asked me to come on board. I said when the season was over, I'd come and play. And then went and played with them from, I think it was 1980, oh, sorry, early 90s. At the same time, I also got a scholarship to the States, went to AB with good old John Williams there, went there for about 5 years, finished up there and came back to Toronto. Went to play in Montreal with Montreal, Croatia. I believe there was the NSL at the time.
Okay, hold on
Um,
with Montreal, Croatia. You said you went to play with John and Derek Tomasis and these guys, and then you met John again in the States. So how long did you play with
how long did I play with? Sorry?
John and these guys? And did you guys separate and you saw him again in the States when you went on scholarship?
Well, John and I played at the same school together because John, I went up there with John. I looked at the school. I had a choice between there and West Virginia University. If you want to party, go to WVU. If you want to play good football, I come to AB. So I went to AB, smaller school, less trouble.
And AB is for?
Alderson Broaddus College, which is now Alderson Broaddus University.
Oh,
So
all right. And you played there. How long you played there? You graduated?
I graduated. I was there from 88 to 93. When I finished there, I came back. I had a guy there who wanted me to go to Scotland and play, but I didn't want to go to Scotland. So another guy asked me to come to Montreal.
Okay. We're gonna stay with Montreal again. That's why I'm doing the diversion. Because I want the younger people to understand right now the whole deal is about scholarships, pro, and
Mm-hmm.
seeing that you guys did the scholarship route. Now there's several other routes like academies and agents and all these things. But in terms of the scholarship, playing there, did you still have scouts watching you there to take you to the next level while you were at AB? Or how did that work? Because you came back here. So were you just on the academics and coming back home? Or were you looking to go pro or whatever? How was that working for you?
Well, back then compared to now, I'd say it's completely different. Soccer here in North America has got a lot more exposure. Back then, it's basically who you know would bring you along, and then you get a tryout and coach see if you like it. Now you send videos to a coach, he gets to see, and then he can invite you up. So back then, you didn't really have scouts really looking at you. From what I know, there wasn't scouts looking at you at all. So compared to now, you've got scouts and agents looking at players all across the country. Um, Now we were an NAIA school, so we weren't an NCAA school, so we didn't get as much exposure. But
Okay. Okay, so the initial scholarship then it still have variation in the different categories. You didn't get
yeah,
into an NCAA
yeah,
category scholar.
Yeah, because the West Virginia University was an NCAA Division I school. I could have gone there, but I chose to go to. For me, it was, yeah, I'll get my degree, but I also wanted to play good football at the time. And the school I went to, our starting lineup, we had 9 guys from the West Indies. We played Howard and we went to the national championship my freshman year. And we had guys playing on the national team of Jamaica, Guyana. So we had a good team. We had one of the best. We were ranked top 5 in the country my freshman year.
Can you throw any name at me that from these places?
Dexter Sandy. He was played with the
You
Trinidad
played with
Lions.
Mr. Sandy?
Yeah, Dexter Sandy played with the Alfonso brothers from Guyana, Frank and Richard Alfonso, and also the Taylor brothers, Aubrey and Oswald Taylor. And when we played my freshman year, we played against Howard, so I was playing against Shaq and his brother Conan.
There you go. Yeah, because Dexter played for me here on Flemington Park. Okay, so now you're back here. You have all that experience. You decide to come back, and you're in Montreal now. What happened after the Montreal experience? And the Montreal was in what league?
Montreal was CNSL. So we played some teams out there. We came down and played Toronto, Italia. I played there. I was there for a couple months, and then things got messed up, and the coach pissed me off. So I picked up and came back home.
Okay, so now you're talking French to me now. Okay, all right. So so you're back home, and when you came back, you now I assume you're working, or the ball is the main ticket.
Well, I was always working because back then, ball wasn't really paying that much depending on where you were playing. So I was working at Delta Hotels. I was playing Sunday morning, the Malvern League. That was always a.
With who?
Boy, I started off with Guyanese specialty.
Canadian?
Yeah, Guyanese Canadians.
Who was on the team at the time?
Howie was there. Lance, goalkeeper. Horace was running the team then. So I played with them for a bit, and then we had specialties, which started out with Huey and John and Derek Tomasis, John Williams and Derek Tomasis. And then they handed the realms over to me eventually because they didn't want to do it anymore. And then
you actually run specialty, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. We actually, specialty was in, I don't know if you remember that Adidas Cup, that
yes,
Davy G. Yeah, it was Huey and I that put that team in together up there.
Okay, so why we always have the belief that Johnny was the main ticket for you guys moving forward. So well, I'm learning something here now, Mark, because I didn't know that history. To me, the history of the Canadians always around Mendonca and Gibbs and these guys. That's because I only came up to the Malvern in '93. So this is good to get the history now, so I can have this thing formatted properly. So you did the Guyanese Canadians, the specialty, and you end up running specialty, and then the Adidas. That's the one up at Richmond Green.
No, that was the one. That was indoor. That was at Soccer City in Etobicoke.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
Right. That team there, we had, I would say, on paper, we had the best team. We had any of the top players that were Black players that were playing in Toronto. We had them on that team. I think the challenge that we had was that we didn't have a system, and we didn't have the chemistry to play together. That's what caused us not to win it. I think we got to the semifinals, but everybody, when they saw who was on the team, they said hands down we had the best team. It's just that we just didn't get it together to bring everything back home.
Was that a type of a collective team from different teams that you guys took there?
Yeah. So you had guys, Mark Gibbs, you had Anton, you had Mike Mendonca.
What was the concept? Putting stars together, or going down with the boom team, as we call it, or what was that deal?
I think what it was more or less was figuring that, you know, we get all the top players together to play, guys that have played together, and we just go out there and play. But I think what we were lacking was a system as to what we were going to do when we got out on the pitch, and just basically gelling together, because we never really trained. We would just go out and play the game. So there was no training. It was
Okay,
just
I understand that,
it was just game days. You go and play.
but I understand that. But guys at a certain level and skill sets should be able, if the heads come together with a certain discipline, because you come from under coaches of this. Now, what happened? And I'm trying to get this format here now before bringing you into spoilers, because even before that, I think I went with Anton to this Richmond Green thing, because I think there's a little misconception when I deal with a couple of people coming up, in that there's a perception that that was Caribbean Stars that was on Lamport that was playing up with Richmond Green. But I understand that you were part of that team. How was that formatted, and what name did you go under for the Richmond Green thing?
The Richmond Green team, I didn't run that one. That was John. I did it after.
John, as in John Williams.
John Williams, yeah. I didn't run that one. That was John. That there, I guess it was a combination of specialty and some other players that had come in there, because we had, like, for example, I think it was also, you had some of the other Scarborough Missouri guys, because you had Keith Costello playing there. There was also Mike Mendonça, Mark Gibbs, I believe Anton. So you had a combination of the specialty players. I think it was just mostly the specialty players and some of the guys that used to play Scarborough Missouri.
And you played?
I played.
How was that? I came and watched, I think, a game or two. I came with Anton. How was that? I can't remember how the team did, but know the makeup of the team that well from 2 games to know if it was a Caribbean or West Indian concept, because now you're calling some other names that I don't really know. But what was the concept bringing that together? Because of course it's still a lot of you guys again.
Yeah, it was, the concept was still Caribbean. It was all Caribbean players.
There you go.
It was all Caribbean. It was like, that was all Caribbean players.
Okay, and how did that go? I can't remember how the league went and stuff.
You know what?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking this question because right after that, a lot of these guys played for me in Malvern, and from Malvern, we went into the Puma League as Caribbean Stars. So I have to learn this part of their journey. So what I want to know now is how you guys did, because that was a really good team. I saw a couple of games, and you know, I still didn't know you guys, but through Anton and everybody, that's how you guys came to Spoilers. How did that team in Richmond Green do?
You know what? I can't remember. I can't remember.
So okay, so what you probably could remember now is how you came to Spoilers, because you already played for 2 teams, and what was that for you? Because I didn't even know you played for 2 teams before you came to me. I didn't even really know you.
Right. Well, for me, it was the Malvern League on a Sunday was, you didn't go and just play a game and go home. You went and played a game, and you hung out for the entire day. So you'd go there from like 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, and sundown, you're getting ready maybe to go home. So it wasn't just a matter of going and playing football. It was a matter of going and playing a game, but enjoying and hanging out for the rest of the day.
So what, you joined Spoilers. You were there before Spoilers came to the league. Did you have any information about Spoilers? And before you go to that, I was told, and in the preamp I asked you, I was told that McIver was wrong our huddles at Flemington Park. And I can't believe that, but I want to hear if that's fact, and how was that, and what you were doing at Flemington Park, because you had to be fairly young then.
You know what? It is a possibility, because when I was younger, when I played with the Cosmos, Dennis Devonish, as we all know as Blues, he used to coach our team. And what we would do is he lived up there, so we would go up there and train. So it is possible that I did come by the huddle to hear you guys. Or I do remember going over to Flemington Park and watching some of the old boy games. So I could have possibly popped into, but I can't remember exactly, but it is a
Okay.
possibility.
And now we come back because I just want to know if you saw either spoilers. You know what type of age you were when you were under Dennis Devilish Blues?
Well, I was in my early teens. I'd probably like 12, 13 probably.
Is there any recall joining spoilers in Malvern, or that was just something new to you? Because I didn't know you, and that's the amazing part. When I was told that a person like you would have been on Flemington, and I didn't know you in Malvern, and you joined the team, I tried to connect the dots, because this whole exercise is about learning things, the history, and putting the dots together so we can make one big information base. So that's why I want to know your base. For me is that, so there's no retainers in you about spoilers or players on Flemington Park to join the team on Malvern. Good.
No.
So what was joining my spoilers like after those two things?
For me, it was, I guess, more or less like back in those days, it was basically, I was playing with John and Derek. So it was kind of, they would kind of scout out a team and say, okay, Broomes, come and play with us here. So it was basically, they were the lead. They were the lead. So.
And how was it for you? They lead, but they can lead you into something that you're not comfortable with or you're not happy with. So I just want to know, what's the whole sentiment of spoilers with you?
Well, with spoilers, it was different, but it was good. Like when I came to spoilers, Derek and John were there and Anton was there, and it was a great environment. It was good football. And it was fun.
Did you get the feeling when you were there that at one time it was the team to beat? That teams will come in, for you, whether offensively for you or defensively for whoever is in the offense?
But whatever team I went to, I always felt my team was the team to beat.
That's a good way to have it. Yeah.
That's how I always looked at any team I played for. My team was the team to beat, because when I was in the back, for me it was I had a cardinal rule: either the ball pass or the man pass, but both aren't passing at the same time.
Okay. Hopefully you finish your games, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I always used to finish my games. I never used to get thrown out.
Yeah, you were a disciplined player, physical but disciplined. So
yeah,
okay.
You had to know how to do it right, properly.
Yeah. So now we decide to go into the Puma League. You're down there. What you thought about that venture and the league itself? Because now you were in the CNSL, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, you also, with Johnny and some of these guys, were playing with St. Catherine's. Because I remember Mark Connor's name was calling a lot.
Yeah. I think it was more or less John, Chris Hanser, and I that were playing with. Oh, and Paul Moore. Can't forget Paul Moore. We were playing both with St. Catherine's and in the Puma League.
Okay. So what?
I actually think, and maybe Anton as well too.
Yeah, Anton was playing.
Yeah, Anton was there. Yeah.
So let's deal with the Puma League. Croatia, the team to beat and stuff. What you thought about that, and some of the players you played around?
The Puma League, I like the fact that it was you had the ethnic background, so it kind of made it like a World Cup, right? So it had a kind of a World Cup environment feel to it, that you come and play each week, and everybody knew everybody knew what everybody was capable of. It was a matter now you were looking at the top players and more or less that cultural background coming together to play in this league. And the way that it was hyped up, it was good. It was good.
So it was as Serge Giancola put it, was internationally flavored because he's a
Yeah,
marketing guy, right? But
that would be the
so you
best way to
leave
put it.
a Puma game. Days later, you're playing the CNSL. You go St. Catharines on your the home game, or you go and play Italia at Centennial. What was that atmosphere like compared the two atmosphere? Because I know they were having a problem with the Puma League because the Puma League kind of had a certain vibes there.
The guys up above in the CNSL, they didn't want anybody else playing in any other leagues, so they were trying to saying anybody that plays in the Puma League couldn't play really in at CNSL, where they didn't want them. But they also had a friendly match against Parma down at Varsity Stadium. So they were told, well, they told me if I play in both leagues, I wouldn't be able to play. So I didn't end up playing because I was playing in both. I was trying to keep it on a low profile, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, I remember that. So what happened? I understand where your career went after the CNSL and stuff, because I understand you have a son that you went and take to the UK. But what happened for your career and how you evolved into your son career?
Well, basically, as I got married in 1999, and then we had our first child in 2000, and things changed. Was married, had a child, had a mortgage, had bills to pay, so soccer wasn't paying the bills. So I had to start looking into a career, having a family. So I kind of scaled back playing, and then I played with. I think I was out of it for a little bit, and then I kind of came back in with. I started playing indoor with Mike Colthrust up at Clearly, and then I kind of saw GS, and I saw some of the guys. I think Paul Martin, Wayne, and those guys over at GS. So I kind of got in there. Then I started playing with GS for a bit.
Yeah, forget that GS.
And that's how I got into GS. When my son was born, I was very particular as to who he'd play with and train with. So when he was young, I would train him, take him out to the field and train him, get him an understanding. He'd come and watch me play growing up, but he always had a ball on his foot. Always had the ball on his feet, always running around the place with the ball. And he played different sports. He'd play hockey, basketball. But by the time he got 13, I said, you got to try and decide which way you want to go.
Potential?
Yeah. So
Offensive, defensive?
he's, he plays midfield, he can play defensive, and he can play on the wings. He plays with both feet.
Okay.
So
Well, unlike his dad, so that's good. You're always supposed to take it a notch higher than the people before you.
yeah. No, he's
So
good.
what he was that good enough for you to want to place him? Was it his passion and pushing you, or you seeing that you didn't want his ability to waste?
I've while he's been growing up playing in the youth system here,
But in terms of the UK, I mean, making that jump, you have to be at a certain level, honestly,
yeah,
thinking that he has that ability.
yeah. While he was young, he played with Wexford, Scarborough, Azore. He was playing with Jeff Hackett for a bit. Then I had him training with Francois. I think when
That's transfer Glassman.
Francois Glassman.
Yeah.
And with Francois, those that know him, he has the 2 times of the foot, 2 times of the head. I could see his skills, and his ball control was very composed, and you could see he had a good understanding of the game. So, Francois was able to arrange for him to go to Luton. So we went to Luton for a 3-week trial, and then it turned out to be about a year and a half later, which opportunities came. But what happened,
Is
what
that
kind
when
of,
you disappeared?
yeah, that's when I
Okay.
disappeared. But what happened was, because I was born in England, I could get him a British passport. Problem was, or didn't understand, that you can't just walk over there with a British passport and say, okay, have a trial. In order to play, because by the time we went, the exhibition games had finished and they were in season, he needed to get a trial permit. Well, in order to get that trial permit, you have to have a player's card over in the UK. He didn't have a player's card. So I had to find a club to sponsor him. And then I also had to show that I had a job. I wasn't there for football purposes, and I had an address. So by the time I got that all sorted out, it was about, we went there in August. I got that sorted out by February.
Ooh,
That's how long it
that's
took.
a lot of time.
Yeah. So in that time, he went to a couple different clubs and was training. Had him with an academy over there.
There's no other way it could be done through the
The only,
agency market or anything like that?
well, here's the thing, because he was 15, right? Because they've got the laws over there. If you're under the age, I think, of 18, you have to prove that you have somewhere to stay or someone to take care of you if you're going to stay over there. When you're 18 now, you're considered an adult. So you can do whatever, but under the age of 18, and I think this is because in the past, a lot of young kids used to go over there, didn't make it, and then they'd be left high and dry. So
Okay.
I think the UK system put something in place that you have to prove certain things in order to be able to, if you're going to stay, you got to be able to show that these certain things are in place, safeguards for the children.
So how did that work out for you guys, and where is he now?
Well, that was a long story. Just make it short and sweet. We left England, went to Slovakia. He was in Slovakia for a bit, and then he injured his back. The agent got into a car accident. The team he was with, it became a mess. And then we went to Germany, third division club there.
You went with him too, or that?
No, I left him in Slovakia. So I left Slovakia, went back to England, and I left him in Slovakia. And at this time, he was only 16. And from there, he went to Germany. He went to a club there they were interested in and they liked him. The problem is that when he injured his back in Slovakia, he didn't get treatment. And because he didn't get the treatment and he just rested, by the time he went to Germany, he thought his back was okay, but it wasn't. So he played a match. He trained for 4 days. They wanted to see him in a match. He played a match. They wanted to see him again in another match, but his back was hurting him too much. And I said, just come home. I says, come home, get yourself healthy, and then you can go back. But came home, got himself healthy, and then COVID hit.
Yeah, COVID been hitting everybody left, right, and center. So
Yeah.
okay, so I guess he's here, and
So he's here now, and it's just a matter of now just getting him prepared to look to go back.
he's how old now? About 18, 19?
He's 18.
So
Yeah,
he's going
18.
on his own now. He don't need daddy anymore. Huh?
Oh, well, when he was in Slovakia at 16, he was telling me to go home and leave him alone. So
Okay. So any advice for people seeing that you go a lot of different ways, how they dot their I's and cross the T, how would you put it to them?
any youth coming up, I would basically tell them, one, if you're going overseas, you got to remember you're trying to take someone else's position over there. You're coming from Canada. They don't look at us as the greatest, so you've got to work extra hard. All right, you've got to work extra hard. And I think the one thing I noticed over here compared to over in Europe, especially in England, very fast, very intense. Over here, we're very laid back and very easygoing. Over there, very intense. By the time you get that ball, you've got 3 guys on you. You've got to move it quickly. And if you're not able to move it quick, they're going to send you back. So you've got to be explosive. You've got to work on speed and agility. when you're going over there. You've got to learn to control that ball, release it quickly, move into space. Not walk around, not take your time, but you've got to be intense and move quick.
There's certain positioning based on how you talk about the attributes of the players and their skill sets. Does certain position stand a better chance? Because based on the reaction, the student of the game in a holding, midfielding position, defensive position, I know goalkeeping kind of unique, so I don't want to touch that, you know. But is that more conducive to what easier to make it there? Because obviously offensively, from the requirement you're talking about there, you got to be almost a star or star potential.
Well, see, that's the key. You've got to be able to show you've got potential. You want a coach or a scout to see that you have potential. And this is why I took my son at 15, not 16, 17, 18. You're too old then. If you can get there at a young age, 14, 13, 14, 15, and the coaches or the scouts can see the potential, you can then grow into the system that's over there, because they want them young. Because if you look at it now, those of us that have teenage children, they're set in their ways by the time they reach 15, 16, 17. But when they're young, you can still mold them, you can still coach them, you can still talk to them, right? So that's why you want to take them there 14, 13, 14, between 12 and 15. You want to be able to take them to Europe. I know a lot of people, clubs, they'll go for a week or a weekend, or sorry, a week or 2 weeks. You've got to go there for like a month, 2 months. Even it's like, you got to stay there, because the problem is you go over there, you come back here. One, you come back to the bad habits. Why? Because you're not playing or training with the same type of players as over there. The players here aren't getting exposed to that type of intensity, because that's not something they're taught from a young age. You'll get some coaches that'll teach it to them as they get older, but a lot of these children at a young age are not taught those type of things. So as they start to get older, they may run by people or look good in the open field or take their time and dazzle people. But when you're in Europe, they're about intense and speed. And even one of the coaches said to my son, I sat down with one of the coaches from the club and I says, give me some feedback. He says, you know what, we like your son's ball control and confidence, but he needs to be more intense. And that's the one thing he needed to do, just be more intense. So one of the clubs, he went to Fulham, and they said the biggest problem international players have coming to England is they have problems playing the fast game, because we play a lot faster than everybody else.
Well, that's normally that's difference in level. That's IQ.
Right.
That's IQ reading it, and we watch it on TV and we see where the ball's gonna go, and it's not as easy as it look on the TV because it's
Right.
a vision thing. Now, do you think now that we have the CPL, do you think that that might be an avenue for your son now, or because with competitive instincts, obviously the urgency would improve? Or do you think the age thing is still going to be a problem? Even because I think the CPL, they did get some couple of drafts that went to the UK or somewhere there, like there, So did you take a look at the CPL?
The CPL? Yeah, I was looking at that actually just as we were going to England a couple of years back. Tony LaFerrera had actually reached out to me because he said he had recommended my son to Jimmy Brennan. But he called me when we were in the airport getting ready to board the flight to go to the UK.
Okay.
So, but yeah, the CPL is an option. I wouldn't, it's not some people's first choice, but the thing is right now is you want to be in an environment where you can train and play at a competitive level. If you want to go to Europe, you have to be in an environment where you can train at a competitive level. If you're not training at a competitive level, you're already going there behind the 8 ball. You've got to be training at a competitive level. And one of the things to train at a competitive level is train with guys older and bigger than you.
Yeah.
If you train with guys older and bigger than you, then you've got to move faster. You've got to think faster. Your touch has to be much better. That'll prepare you to go away.
Yeah. Well, I think so, because maybe the youths in the UK has an advantage, because culturally they know, as you say, they probably have the older brother playing or whoever up on that level, and they competing at that level, and and maybe the youngsters in these parts of the world don't really have that. So the CPL might be really a good avenue, and he can test his back and stuff. So maybe he should take a look at that and stuff. And so how does the COVID been doing with you? And I see you look the same, Mark. The same, Mark.
Well, I've shed a few pounds over the years, but the COVID, yeah, I haven't let it affect me. Get out, go for walks, even during when it's cold. Now that the children are home, I get them to come and go with me. So yeah, I think the COVID is an opportunity to basically, rejuvenate, reconnect with your family, spend more time with them, um, find out more about yourself and figure out where you want to go and what you want to do. And I don't see everything getting back to normal, but when things start to open up, decide where you want to go. It's the last year, 2 years, we've been boxed in, but I think it gives people an opportunity to do some soul searching to see really where they are, where they want to go, and how are they going to get there, and what's required to do that.
Exactly, because if you don't know what you want and where you want to go after this big layup, impromptu layup, I don't think you would know after this. So, well, Mark, what's your son's name? You didn't give us your son's name.
My son's name is McIver Broomes.
Starting to get close to McIver.
Well, it's McIver Broomes.
There you go. Yeah, I know something was up. I know something was up with that. Okay, so I guess we just about covered. What do you think about us based on this project we're doing here?
It's interesting because growing up, the Malvern League was like Mother's Day weekend. Mother's Day weekend, Malvern League starts, no matter what. So everybody's looking forward to that. And then every weekend after that. And you know what? I've met a lot of people, made a lot of friends from that through that league. People I still keep in touch with today. I don't think we have that kind of community anymore. People are busy. People are doing different things. And I think it would be good to like what you're doing here with this. I think this is great because one, you kind of get to hear about people that you didn't really know much about, their journeys and what they've done, but it also gives these younger children an opportunity to hear what people had to go through to get to where they are. It's different now compared to, for example, if you wanted a scholarship to the States, you had to do a whole lot more. Now you just get online, look at the colleges and universities, create a highlight video, send it out to the coach, call the coach, see if they're interested, and then go and see. Whereas back in our day, it's like you had to know someone and then they would recommend you to come up there, and then you go, and it was kind of a done deal. But it's different now. You've got more technology. Everything's technology based in regards to communication, media. Social media has been a big plus because now the information gets out there more. It gets more exposure. It gets out to more people. Whereas before, unless you were there, you couldn't see it. But now, with social media, everybody can see, because once it's taped, it's there forever, right? So what you're doing here, bringing everybody from the community, Dwayne and everybody else, getting John, and the fact that you got Huey on here, I can't believe that. That's right. So
yeah.
But you're going way back, and you kind of started with the roots of everything, and then you're just slowly moving up. and if, you know, if you decide to pack it in, if someone can continue to keep it going, it'll be good because it'll show the history of Caribbean soccer in the communities from when it started, which I think was like back in what, 70s,
Yeah.
right?
69,
Up in
69.
69,
Yeah.
right? Like wasn't even born yet. And then up until now, we're into 2021. So there's a whole lot of history, there's a whole lot of culture, there's a whole lot of experiences that these young guys can hear about coming up. Some will gravitate to it. Some of them will just say, yeah, but you know, the opportunities that these young guys have today, there's a lot more of them, but they still have to work and prove themselves. Football is not just about skill. It's about skill, composure, integrity, and one of the biggest things is work ethic. And you'll get some coaches there out there that will take a player that has a harder work ethic than a more skillful player, depending on that type of coach and what they're looking for in a player. So if you go, I believe you go out there and work. I've always told my son, just go out there and work hard, and you know, people will see and things will happen.
Yeah, you are a hard worker. Sometimes overwork until you reach the 18-yard line.
Yeah.
Go on the solo runs until the 18-yard run. Okay, yeah. So, Mark, I want to thank you for giving me the little time, and it's nice, as you say, you know, talking to you, seeing you again, and you know, you take care and stay safe.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. It's an honor to have me on here with all these old boys. I'm probably one of the younger ones out of the crew, so thanks for having me, and it's been a pleasure.
All right, take care.
Okay.